Hey, it's Janelle and welcome back to my channel. I wanted to make this video not only to remind myself, but to give you guys some tips that I'm going to try and utilize for this year. Hopefully I can hold myself accountable about how to spend your money more smartly. This idea came about because I was looking and reflecting on my past purchases and my past purchasing mistakes. And honestly, most of those mistakes that I'd made could have been prevented if I had implemented these beforehand, if I had established rules for myself. This year, I really want to focus on being conscientious about where my money goes and not just blowing it on things that I don't need, because I want to make sure that I'm bringing into my life things that are necessary. And yes, you can splurge every once in a while and of course treat yourself, but also do it reasonably. Yes, you can still spend. Yes, you can still treat yourself, but it's a matter of doing it in a way that is still cognizant and aware. It's important, that awareness of just making sure you know where your money's going and what you're putting your money into, and making sure that it's not just going to benefit you short term, but also long term, and it won't really, negatively impact you. The key word for this video is spending smartly. Doing so in a manner that is responsible. We have to be responsible adults here, especially in this day and age. Money is so important to surviving in the world and to having a good livelihood. For us who are just trying to get by, it's like we have to be careful. I really want to be able to be more responsible with my money, so that's why I'm making this video. So hopefully it helps out anyone else who needs to be more responsible with their money, or who's just struggling financially, or just want to be on top of their finances and you like to spend. I guess it's more for people who like to spend. So my fellow shopaholics, hello. But yeah, let's get started. So my first tip that I have, purging the temptations, purging the negatives, just getting rid of everything that tempts you to buy. So block the websites that you love perusing through, delete the apps that you also love to look through, unsubscribe from emails that are doing no good for you or your bank account. And also don't join any new reward programs. Don't subscribe to anything new. Others might counteract that by saying, oh, but if you join the rewards you'll get discounts and whatnot. But the more that you see those, discounts that they give you, or you see more of those emails that you receive because of joining a rewards program, that will just further tempt you to buy something. So yes, it might give you savings, but in the long run, you'll just keep spending. If you see those things, it will just keep tempting you. It will just perpetuate that cycle of just buying, buying, buying. Yeah, you get discounts here and there, but in the long run, those purchases add up. As much as I want to join McDonald's rewards program, I'm not gonna lie, okay? I've seen how good their deals can get on the app. I know that if I download that app and if I join, I'm just gonna want to keep buying food from McDonald's, okay? Not only is that not healthy for my bank account, it's not healthy for my body. So I've had to restrain myself and not do that, okay? So yeah, that's my first tip. Getting rid of the unnecessary notifications and triggers, basically. Out of sight, out of mind, So just getting rid of those temptations, whether it's a website, apps, emails, and don't join anymore. So yeah, that's my first tip. Just purging, pretty much. Second tip, if you really, really want something and you really are seriously considering purchasing, I would recommend letting it sit in your cart. Let it sit. Don't press checkout. Wait, ponder on it, give it a couple hours, maybe even a week. I find that I tend to leave things in my cart for at least a week. I also love the save for later option, especially like Etsy or Amazon. I also utilize those things frequently, where instead of just putting it in my cart to buy, I save it for later so that I can see it. And then it's like, do I really need that item? It gives me time to reflect. Leaving something in your cart and then come back to it at a later point in time. Don't check out, don't buy it right away. It really makes a difference, because your mood, you might just be impulsive and you'll be like, I need to get it right now. If you're in that mindset, it's very unhealthy, and that's, I think, a lot of the issues with people who spend a lot is just impulsiveness. So I've done that myself. So like there have been nights where I've made bad decisions. It's like midnight and I'm like, I'm gonna buy this. And I'm not thinking clearly, I'm not thinking straight. So it's just a matter of giving yourself the right headspace to make that decision. So just give yourself time. My third tip for spending your money smartly is to create incentives for yourself, especially for big purchases like a car, TV, a video game console. Like those type of purchases are big bucks, like big amounts of money. It's important to have those incentives and goals because it helps you, you know, make sure that you have enough funds to purchase these items. I think that's how people fall into, I might be wrong when I'm saying this, but I feel like that's how people fall into credit card debt, where they just keep purchasing and they don't have the funds to actually buy the item, because credit cards are so tempting. You don't have to pay it right on the spot. You just can just swipe the credit card and, you know, that purchase will just be sitting there until you have to pay it. But some people don't even have the funds to pay for those items that they buy. So it's like that's how you end up in debt. But for me, I want to make sure I can pay it off when the time comes. So you want to spend smartly. You want to make sure you have the funds, and also can motivate you to work harder, and it can increase productivity at work, all that. Set earning goals, incentivize yourself. Also, I guess something similar is making a wish list. It's important to also just incentivize yourself with wish lists. I love when shopping places or websites or apps have that option for wish lists, because you can save those things for later, again with the save for later option, and you can look back and see what you want. And then if you really want those things, you know, at least you're working hard and putting your mindset to it and pushing yourself and motivating yourself to earn the financial standing to get those things. It also forces you to really think if you want those things. If you're not willing to put in the work, if you're not willing to, you know, put in the time and effort to earn the income in order to get those things, then you don't really need it, you know? You don't really want it. If you really, really want something, you're gonna work towards it. So, of course, setting earning goals and incentives, and along with that, making wish lists can be very beneficial for helping you spend smartly. This might depend on what you're purchasing, but my next tip is to limit yourself. Whether it's by limiting how much you can spend or how much of a certain item you can get, just implementing some sort of limit can really, you know, narrow down and make sure that you're not overspending, over consuming on something that you actually don't need. So for example, recently I went ham on candles. Okay, I'm gonna be honest. There was a bunch of holiday candles that Bath & Body Works was selling, and it's like, I know that I'll only use these candles during the holiday season. So I knew I didn't need 3 of those candles, if that makes sense. So I decided to limit myself to only 1 scent, and I'm like, I only need 1 candle out of this collection, because I know that I'm not going to use it outside of like the December months, basically. Or put a limit in terms of how much you can spend. Especially when I'm like thrifting, it's like if I find 2 or 3 skirts, it's like, do I need all these skirts? No. I have to pick one that I really love because I don't have enough funds right now. So it's a matter of also assessing your funds. Sometimes limiting is very crucial, especially depending on your financial standings and circumstances. It can help you really spend smartly as well, because it's like later down the road you realize, oh, I didn't need as many as I originally wanted. You know, limiting yourself sometimes is very beneficial in narrowing down in terms of minimalism as well. It's like, do I need all these items? No, I don't. So just narrowing things down. Implementing limits in some way, in some shape, or some form, and somehow into your purchasing habits can be very, very impactful. My 5th tip for spending smartly is to keep looking at your bank account. Keep looking at your expenses. I find the more that I look at those things for myself, the more I don't feel like spending money. Now, I don't know if this applies to everyone, but that's just how I feel. I feel like the more I'm keeping track and seeing how much have I spent, looking at how much money, you know, do I have, and looking at, you know, your other costs in life, like rent or insurance costs and all that. It's like, once you see how much you have to spend, it's like, I feel like that leaves you feeling like, oh, I don't want to spend anything, because it really shows you in perspective, like visually. It makes me more conscientious, where it's like I can't just spend my money willy-nilly because I have other things that I have to pay for. So looking at your bank accounts and your expenses, I find is very beneficial in helping me spend smartly, because then I really care about where does my money go? What am I putting my money towards? Like, it makes me more accountable, if that makes sense. My sixth tip for spending smartly is to reflect. And I just feel like this, I say this a lot in my videos, reflect. And that has even been my tip in my previous videos. If you haven't seen my how to get the most out of therapy, that's actually a tip I have for therapy, but reflecting does wonders. Again, I'm gonna mention it for this video, especially reflecting on your past spending mistakes. Now, as I've mentioned in the intro of my video, that's how I got the idea for this video. Just reflecting on the mistakes that I made when spending in the past, and like the deep regret that I feel and how upset I get about, why did I buy this? Why did I buy that? Those things haunt me sometimes, where it's like I see that item that I regret buying and it's just staring at me and sitting in my closet. It's like, why? Why did I think buying these things was a good idea? I get so mad and frustrated. So like, reflecting on your past spending mistakes can be very helpful. It's like, you remember that the impulsiveness or the mood or whatever led you to buy that thing was not helpful in the moment. And it's like, you want to make sure that you don't make that mistake again. And you don't want to end up in a similar situation again. You don't want to have the history repeat itself. As they say, learn from your mistakes. So, you know, reflecting can just really show you where you went wrong, and to make sure that you don't make that mistake again in the future when you're considering spending on something. But yeah, those are my tips on how to spend smartly. In the long run, this video is more so for me because I really need to stop spending, and I really need to get my finances in order, in check. I need to be a responsible adult. So, I'm talking to you, pointing at myself in the camera. Talking to you, girl. You gotta get it together. I wish you guys all the luck in terms of finances, I guess, because finance, money, rough, sore subject lately. I think not just for me, but for a lot of people. Especially with inflation, money has just been... Anyways, I don't want to get dark and philosophical here. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And that's it for me. That's it for now. And I'll see you all when I figure it out. Bye!